Hello, guys. Welcome to FM Stitches TV, your number one TV. Guys, remember, this is where we bring you all the latest news from sports, entertainment, politics, lifestyle, and documentary. Guys, today we have a very, very special person, a big person in the media space. Today's topic is the impact of social media or mass media in general in the society and the danger it causes. So guys, before you go to our comment section, subscribe, like, and drop your comment. I will be right back. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, please can we meet you?
My name is Obi Apu, and I'm a native of a creative industry in Nigeria, especially television and movies. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a television producer by excellence, and I do also consulting as a organizational psychologist. I coach management. I've been involved in television industry since 1960, and I earn money from it, and I've been earning money from the business to date. So I make movies and I make television programs. So I see myself as a television person and filmmaker.
Okay.
So this is what I do.
So, sir, can you just throw more light about mass media in general?
Yes, mass media came up effectively after the Second World War. Actually, during the Second World War, that was really beginning of that study. The field became prominent because to address the mass or to able to address individuals as if whether they're in the mass or not, the mass media came up that time. Hitler made use of it effectively and then went into that field area they are called propaganda to sell himself and teaching it as a subject. Now, in those days what people would do was more of classics. They go do Latin and other things, do classics, do English, do literature. But the mass communication now came in, which means you are communicating to mass, not like where you say individuals. But when you are communicating now with the mass, you are doing it as if you are communicating with individual one-on-one. That you are talking to millions of people, that you make it look as if you are addressing one person. And that is where that study became very effective, because you have to know those concepts and what you can do to be able to reach to the mass, and also know the subject you want to bring to the mass. And also that means the people you are addressing also, there are certain things that is taboo to them that they want to hear. There are certain things that they don't want to hear. But in everything we do, we know that ethics matters. You must have a limit. You must have no-go areas. So that's where the mass media and the society, because you're addressing the society, but most times, like television, radio, you are penetrating people's privacy. Somebody is in the house and you tune the television, he's seeing you, he's probably in the bedroom or shower, you tune the television, he's seeing you, you are talking to the person. And you are addressing the person as if you are talking to the person. So there are certain decorum that must go with it. So it's that decorum that some people lack now, because they don't understand that in everything we do, there's ethical standard.
So that if I may ask, what inspired you to venture into the mass media world?
What was what?
What inspired you?
Okay. Oh, like I said earlier, that I'm
A native.
I'm a native. So when you're a native now, that's the inspiration now. I was inspired from being a kid who was interested in television. When he came out, we were small, and then we were playing roles. There was this American lady, Afro-American lady, Mary Umolu, in Enugu in those days when we were growing up. That was 1960, I'm telling you this, way back. And then she was teaching us dances, songs, poems, name it, and acting. So from there, we started growing. I started doing radio shows with another lady called Mrs. Grant. Then Mary Umolu later left. Then Gina, Mrs. Ojike, late Mbonu Ojike's wife, took over with Gina Onyejiaka. So these were the people who brought us up in television and radio. And we learned how to act, we learned how to sing, we learned how to dance, even traditional dance. Now, Steph, I still remember one of those songs that they played for us in those days. You know, I sing it at times. When I sing it for my grandchildren, they're so surprised. Like, what is granddad singing?
So, Daddy, can you mention the few TV stations you've worked with so far?
Okay, now, Eastern Nigerian Broadcasting Service was where we started. That's as kids. Then went to school, then the war started. Okay. War started, ended 70. Then I joined NTA, NBC Television Lagos, NBC 1973, okay, as a floor manager. Okay. And I was in that station till network started. Then I became producer, later senior producer, later promoted to principal producer, and later controller of programs, which was called, they used to call it assistant chief producer. So then I left NTA in 1995. I left NTA in 1995, and I've been living in US, and then US and Abuja, US and Nigeria for a period now. So that's it, but I still practice. Then within that period also, I started the movies. I worked with Dr. Labalogu 1976 to shoot a movie called Music Man. I was his assistant, and that gave me the transition from television to filmmaking. And from there, I shot Living in Bondage, the first film that started Nollywood.
Wow.
I shot Taboo, I shot Evil Passion, I shot Circle of Doom.
This is interesting.
And Sorrows of Ken. These were the movies that started Nollywood.
Wow.
And some people say I'm the father of Nollywood.
You are indeed. With all these ones you mentioned.
It was started, it was intentionally started. Some people were trying to say it's flukes, it just happened. It didn't just happen. It was worked on, and it became possible. And now, so many millions of people are taking shelter over it and getting jobs and working. So if I did not shoot those films, if I did not shoot Living in Bondage, Nigerian film industry could have been the same way the French, that's the French countries, West African French countries, because they were highly involved in filmmaking, because the French people left things on the ground for their people. Whereas the British people did not leave cinema culture for us like the French did. So all I did was to demystify filmmaking. And that was my intention, to demystify it, and it really worked out. And filmmaking has now come to anybody who, even with your phone.
I learned in one of the research that you were part of the people who wrote, is it Zobodiah these days?
Yes.
Tell us about it, sir.
Chief Zobodiah Okorigo Wogo was a program by NTA Aba,
Okay.
and they call it Masquerade.
Masquerade.
But it was more of what we call provincial.
Okay.
The Igbos there, that the Aba crowd, the Eastern region crowd, enjoyed it. But when you now wanted to bring it to a network, because this is where I came into it,
Okay.
we had to reshape it, remove certain things and added certain things
Okay.
to make it more of national.
Okay.
So that was how the masquerade became and became a very
National,
big national issue.
popular
Then
program.
it sold. New Masquerade was selling in Sierra Leone
Wow.
in the 80s.
Wow.
When we went to Sierra Leone with the New Masquerade, we went to perform, and we performed at the stadium. And we found out that the Chika, Okpala, Chiefs of Obadiah, was the most sought after black actor
In Africa.
in Africa.
Wow.
The whole stadium was full with people.
Wow.
And then their vice president informed us that when he acted, when the president traveled, he acted. He said when he was in the car, all he found there was tapes. So he asked the driver, "What are all these tapes?" He said, "That's what Oga, that's what Oga listens to." And what was there? It was tapes of New Masquerade.
Wow.
Then we found out also that every Friday because I think it's Friday that we transmit on network, the Sierra Leone embassy, we record it. And their Sierra Leone airline comes in to Lagos and goes back on Sunday. So on Sunday when he's going back, he goes back with the tape. And they will dub it for the president
Wow.
and the big ups in Sierra Leone. By the week, it will get to at that level of Sierra Leonean elites that they're paying any amount to get at it. And by then, so when we went there, we saw this. I was amazed that what we were doing in Enugu, I was the director and I coach the writers. So I saw myself as the man behind the masquerade. So, we used to take up the government. We used to take issues. Where the government is going bad, we hammer them, we tell them. So it became really popular. But what was there is that it was part of what led to my looking for a way to bring out my message out in a film. Nigeria has been producing about 2,500 movies every year
Yeah.
from that time. Call it from this happened 1992, but from when I left for US, 1995. Before then, Nigeria started producing about 2,500 per year.
How do you describe the content that is being issued out on social media that has no restriction, the impact it's making in the society, and youth in particular?
Social media came up, and like every new invention, it has totally taken over. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. All people can do is education. When a thing happens like this, people will take the challenge to educate the users and then the people who operate it on decorum and ethics. Because anything you are doing without ethics, that's what normally happens now in social media. Some people can say anything they like. Some
Post
people can,
anything they like.
yeah, they tell you that where is his own space. Yes, it's your space, but there is ethics that
So
makes
what are the role that government are supposed to play in this?
the government. What the government normally would do in this type of situation, for you to not be seen as a tyrant who is trying to, who doesn't want his people to use social media, is that you're going to find a way of educating your people. You see, in Nigeria, like I was explaining sometime, I said we build roads, like in Abuja, they build roads and put sidewalks, but they will not train the people on what sidewalk is all about. So people will use, if you see a car going on the sidewalk and blowing you horn, you that is walking on the sidewalk, get out of his way. And if you refuse, they might deal with you. And people, the public around will side him that you are a strong-headed old man or a strong-headed person. Why can't you give way to the car? So zebra crossing, the same thing. Everything, because society is organized by being able to educate the people with anything that come their way. Like social media has come. The users and the people who use it, that's the people who use it and the people whom they're using it for, they should be educated. Whatever you want to be, you can be, if you strive to be. But trying to be, it's always good for you to get the education, the appropriate education, and the necessary training, and also to develop the skills or learn the skills for what you want to do. So this is what life is all about, because life is life of learning. You continue to learn till the day you go down. So the youth, if you are not going to school, there are now schools all over the place, and the internet is now within your tip of your finger. You can talk to the Harvard Library. You can talk to a professor in Harvard. You can talk to a professor in the University of Ibadan. You can talk to a professor in the University of Port Harcourt. You can talk to a professor anywhere in the world if you are seeking for information, and you get it. They don't sit idly and say, oh, I don't see anything. I'm a graduate of 10 years. I've not seen a job. It is your own fault. University did not go through you. You just went through it. But if university had gone through you, you should be able to do what university has taught you. It's not just because you did a chemistry or did one thing, but university taught you how to be a human being, how to use that knowledge to your advantage and walk your way through it. Not a question of, oh, I don't see job. What job are you looking for? Why can't you do job with your hands? And then dirty your hands, and then put the applied intelligence. That's it, what you do what you study in the school. You use it, and then you learn. Some people drive taxi. Some people walk, go and wash dishes and all these things abroad, so that they can make a way while they are still working, while they are still reading. So why can't you do it? Must it be in Nigeria where somebody will say, 10 years I've been searching for one? What job are you searching for? Go there and create the job. You have the head, you have the knowledge, you can do it.